أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. قال تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. According to the ancient scholars, which is in agreement with the new scientists and anthropologists and psychologists, that there are four natural drives and propensities within a human being. Among them, number one is the propensity toward worship, praying. You can find that in every community, in every culture. Perhaps you can go to the most ancient cities and towns. When you look at the ruins, you will see that those ruins are place of worship, house of worship. The fact that, for example, if you go to Egypt, or go to Greece, or go to Persia, those ruins are house of worship. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has attested to this fact. It says, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فَطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. This is an instinct within every human being. From dawn of history, that a human being is seeking some entity to worship, to pray for. So this is still within the nature of human being, and that is number one, propensity. The other one, they say, the drive toward doing good things, being a philanthropist. وَإِنَّهُ لِحُبِّ الْخَيْرِ لَشَدِيدٌ. Human by nature, their drive to do good things, except the psychopath, except the criminals, and those are only exceptions. But the human being in general are driven toward doing good things to others. So this is a second propensity. The third one is the drive toward, knowledge, exploiting things, or a curiosity, finding, searching, and asking about hidden things. If it were not the curiosity of a human being, we were not sitting in this place, and I'm speaking through this electric microphone, and there's electricity, in front of us, and there is a camera recording, and I have my iPhone and, recording everything. This is all came from human curiosity, because the human are curious, and they are driven toward knowledge and seeking knowledge. And that is included in every human being. That's why we got to this state of life. So this is a third one. And the fourth one is the drive toward the beauty, toward innovation, toward something new, toward, as it is called, artistry or creativity. These are also, included in the nature of every human being. Therefore, the ayah that I recited at the beginning is combining two of those propensities and appealing to two of them in the human. It says that, يَا بَنِي آدَمْ خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. Beautify yourself. Have, yourself ornamented in every masjid. My topic is about the importance of masajid, the house of worship, and how we preserve them. Originally, I have prepared for another topic that is, more close to the environment and to the occasion of Laylatul Qadr. But I said maybe this topic is more important to talk about, especially in light of what our dear sister Abbas has said about the situation in this Islamic center. If you look at the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word Ya Bani Adam. Oh, children of Adam, oh, the entire humanity. He doesn't say, oh, Muslims, or all the believers. When you go to a masjid, then prepare yourself. He says, oh, human being. The appeal is toward the entire human being. Why? Because this natural thing that exists in every human being, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now God is, striking on that chord to make it appealing to people to come to the masajid. In other ways, says it is natural that you worship. However, when you worship, be a beautiful person. Have it being ornamented. That is the beauty of the masajid, not a dirty masjid. Anyway, the scholars say that the cause of revelation of this ayah, the pagans before Islam, the idol worshippers, would come to pilgrimage, and pilgrimage was before Islam was enacted by Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Ibrahim. The idol worshippers would come to Mecca to perform their rituals, their a'mal, but since their clothes were either filthy and dirty, or they have been confiscated, they have been, taken as a plunder from other tribes, other communities. The mode of living in the Arabian Peninsula was that you raid, you attack others and plunder their belongings. So when this guy would come to pilgrimage, to visit the house of God, he wanted to perform it in a purified way. Therefore, wearing such kind of clothes that he has stolen from some other tribe, or he has confiscated from some people, that would make it impure. Therefore, he needs to perform his duty in a pure mode. What would they do? They would do the tawaf, the circulate, to circle around the Kaaba in a naked form, nude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, stop this ill behavior. You cannot do this one. Rather, when you approach a masjid, when you approach a house of worship, you have to have the proper attire. And that attire has to be the best. So again, brothers and sisters, in light of this ayah that I recited at the beginning, inshallah I will be talking about the importance of house of worship, especially masajid, after your big and loud salawat. There are many. I have only included the three to talk about. The number one importance of a masjid, it is the main source of guidance. We as Muslims, when we perform our prayers, in the prayer we say, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. What does اهدنا الصراط المستقيم means? It means, oh God, show us the right path. How many times we recite this? We at least recite this 10 times a day. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to make us recite this statement 10 times a day? اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Aren't we guided? We believe that Muslims, alhamdulillah, and in addition to that, the followers of Ahlul Bayt are already guided, and the doors of heaven are open for us. Why we have to pray and ask God 10 times that He should show us the right path? The answer is that this guidance has to be all the time. It is not a single time. You always need guidance. In every turn of your life, we need guidance. In our life, we go through so many changes. A single change can change our direction. We can go in a wrong path. And this is not only pertaining to, ordinary people. Even the infallibles, even the ma'sumin, they would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance and for support. Salama, the wife of the Prophet, she says that I would see in the middle of night the Prophet, peace be upon him, while prostrating and weeping and crying, and says, Ilahi, Ilahi, لا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين أبدا. Oh God, do not leave me to myself for even a blink of an eye. A blink of an eye can make trouble for us. And this is a prophet who is established non-infallible person. What about us? Don't we need guidance? So when we say that اهدنا الصراط المستقيم by verb, just verbally, would not help. It is meant to be, with conditions. Not only that I would say, oh Allah, guide me, and then I receive the guidance. Guidance need conditions. Guidance need a proper environment. Guidance need to be in a right place. And the place, plays an important role in the guidance. You can't be in the middle of the beach, for example, where people are half nude and you say, Ya Allah, guide me. Ehdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Tells you you're in the wrong place. Go somewhere else, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At that time you will see the guidance. Everywhere you cannot ask for guidance. You can say it verbally, but in reality it would not take a place. Why? Because there is a conducive environment for everything. A sick person, when a person gets sick, where does he go? Does he go to the shopping mall to get a cure? Where is the proper place for curing and treatment of people? It is the hospital. Why is it so? Because it is the best environment for treatment of people. Have you seen people perform surgery at home, for example, in the bedroom? Maybe you have a big, fancy and clean and a bright bedroom. Would the surgeon come and perform surgery in the bedroom? No. It tells you have to go to a closed corridors, in a closed room, and there we perform that specific surgery. Why? Because you intend to get the result. The result is the healing. You need to treat it correctly in order to be healed, to get rid of the sickness. You want restoration to come back to your body. Therefore, the proper place is the hospital. The same thing with the children. You want your children to get education. Where would you teach them? Don't you send them to the school? Or again, you send them somewhere else. Why don't you teach them at home? Because the proper environment, the conducive environment for teaching, for education has to be in that building that is called the school, where everybody gathers. There is a classroom, there are chairs, there is a blackboard. The teacher stands in front of the students and teach them step by step. At that time, students will learn. This is the proper mode of education. The same thing with the prayers. The prayers is meant that you get as close as possible to your Lord. You think of this. You want to recite Dua Kumail, for example. Do you do it at your home, in front of TV? The TV is on, and the children are making noises, and the noise in the street, and you are reciting Dua Kumail. This would get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or imagine yourself, for example, in the shrine of Imam Hussein, in front of the tombstone of Imam Hussein, or the shrine of Imam Rida alayhi salam, and you're reciting Dua Kumail. Which one has the most effect? The first one or the second one? Obviously the second one. Why? Because there's the environment. You see people are weeping, people are crying, they're asking. The atmosphere is all for prayers and worship. At that time, you get, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without interruption. You see, the philosophy of a house of a prayer is that you get close, you talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any interruption. When you see the masajid, when you see the mosque, and this is for the Islam compared to other religions. Look at other religions. There is one stark difference between the house of worship in Islam versus the house of worship in different religions, like Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism. Look at that. When you enter a church, a Catholic church, you know, Sister Abbas was Catholic. Is that right, sister? When you would go inside a church, what do you see? You see statues, you see portraits, you see paintings. But when you go to a masjid, what do you see? A four-wall, empty walls. Kaaba is a simple, cubic, four walls. Why? Why there is a mihrab inside the masjid? What is a mihrab, first of all? Mihrab means is the battle, the place of battle with shaitan. There, and it's made in a semicircle that you stand in there with no interruption at all. At that time you can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your attention doesn't get swayed in any other way. But when you go somewhere and you see, you know, an artifact here, a statue here, a portrait there, you will be amazed. Your thinking will be all, you know, bogged down to those portraits and those statues. But in Islam tell you, you need to be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore the masjid will make it the best environment for guidance. At that time you can see that your prayer, you know, is getting answered. Or at least inside yourself you're feeling that you are performing the prayer. There is an ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stress on that. It says, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ وَآتَ الزَّكَاةِ. It says, who established a mosque. Now, I will get back to this ayah, but my point is not the beginning. It says, whoever established a mosque, at the end, it says, وَعَسَىٰ أَنْ يَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُهْتَدِينَ. At the end, it says, فَعَسَىٰ أُولَٰئِكَ أَنْ يَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُهْتَدِينَ. Someone who establishes a mosque, eventually he will be among the guided. So number one effect, brothers and sisters, of the masjid is the guidance. Think that we are seeking from Allah every day at least 10 times. The second one, brothers and sisters, it is the social effect. The social effect of the masjid. I will elaborate on this after your salawat. You see, brothers and sisters, everyone has a need. Regardless of his status, whether he is rich, poor, married, single, old, young, every one of us have a need, and that need depends on others. Sometimes I am financially poor. I need some help, financial help. Sometimes I want to find a good spouse, for example. I want to establish my family. I want to socialize. I want to have a partner in my trade. I want to find a laborer. Every one of us have needs. Some of those needs are pressing needs, meaning they need immediate attention. Most of those needs depend on others. Others have to provide it. I by myself cannot do it. Those needs need to be met. If those needs are not met and they are legitimate and legal, those will cause pain. Those will cause trouble within myself. Will end up in a dilemma, in a predicament. I will start suffering from them. If I see my brethren, my sisters, my community care less about my legitimate needs, this will add more pain, to myself. I will become disillusioned. I will start hating people. I become depressed. I'll sicken myself. My spirit will be sickened. I will start having trouble. Those needs need to be met. I have heard, Sister Abbas told me that in Perth, Perth is the highest city within Muslim community that we have suicide rate. Is that right? This is your city. It is the highest city in terms of suicide rate. And for whom? Not for the adults, not for the middle age and old, people. It is for the youngsters. The youngs, those who are in their 20s and 30s. Why? What is the problem? Because they had needs, but they ended up in front of them, the road was closed. No way to escape. They ended up having depression or sometimes violence. Eventually, they took their own life. Why? Because they saw that the need is not met. A best place that your needs are met is this area. This is that we call masjid. In the masjid, you will end up seeing your brothers, your sisters, your community members. There you share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your pain, share your needs. And within the masjid, those things are brought, and become materialized. You see, one aspect of Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Hajj. It says to Ibrahim alayhi salam that go and call for the Hajj. Then it says why. It says وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. They all will come from far away, from far distance to perform Hajj. Then states the reason. What is the reason? لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. So they will benefit from this. I come to Hajj not only to perform my rituals, to perform my religious duties. I earn, in return, I earn some benefit. I earn some advantage. It's through Hajj, I will get to see people. I will get acquainted with them. I will share my ideas. I share my concern. I share my trouble with them. And maybe I find, some solution. And the masjid plays the same role. When we come, I need certain, here, ask yourself, I'm in my 20s, and I am religiously, devout person, and conservative. A conservative family. They have children. At the age of marriage, where do they get married from? I'm looking for a spouse. Which spouse I get from? Do I go and get it from the street? I am considering myself a religious person. Where is the proper place that I find my spouse, my future spouse? Isn't it the masjid? Either I have to go from outside and get someone in the street or in the university or in the nightclub, for example, and he or she becomes my spouse, or I have to dispatch all the way from my own homeland. Other than that, there is no option. This masjid becomes a viable option for families, for religious families who seek to have a good, good husband and wife for their own children. Here in the masjid that you get to meet other believers who share your ideas, share your own belief. At that time, through exchanges in the families, you will end up having a good wife or a good husband. In Islam, during the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, at the beginning, at the advent of Islam, when he established the masjid in Medina, there used to be a tiny area called As-Suffa. As-Suffa was, a platform where the poor, those who had no place, the homeless, who have migrated from, far away, from far distances, they come to Medina, they don't have any household, they don't have anything, and they are economically poor. They would stay in that area. One of them, now the Prophet had established that area, he would bring them some food, other Muslimin would bring them some food, and they would stay in, adjacent to the masjid. They perform their prayers in the masjid and live next to the masjid. One of them was named Juwayber. Juwayber was not even, and originally was not even an Arab. He had a darker skin. I think he has moved from Africa and became Muslim and stayed in this place that is called Suffa. One day the Prophet, peace be upon him, tells him, Ya Juwayber, he finds him that this guy is sincere, has a very good heart, and decent and simple. And tells him, Ya Juwayber, why don't you find a wife? Find someone that you get married with this. He said, Ya Juwayber, لو تزوجت امرأة فعففت بها فرجك وأعانتك على دنياك وآخرتك. Find someone that you can settle with, and that would help you for your dunya, for your akhirah. He looked at the Prophet and laughed. Told him, Ya Rasulullah, are you kidding me? I hope you're not joking with me. Who gives me a wife? What do I have? I don't have anything. My parents, no one knows them. I came all the way from it, far away. Who knows me? Who recognizes me? He told him, Juwayber, those classifications that you're talking about, Islam does not accept them. There is no room for those classifications. Inna akramakum inda Allahi atqakum. The best person, the most cherished person, the most respected one is the one who has piety. It is by your faith that you gain a status in Islam. This is what I am giving you. Not the money, not the wealth, not your lineage, whether you are Seyed or non-Seyed. Those are rubbish. Those have no room in Islam. He told him, Juwayber, there is a wealthy person in Medina. His name is Ziyad ibn Lubayt. Let me send you to Ziyad. I have heard that he has a beautiful daughter, a very well-respected daughter. I would tell you, go to Ziyad and tell him, Ya Ziyad, Ana Rasulu Rasulullahi ilayk. I am the messenger of God to you. And then tell him that the Prophet has sent me, that I asked the hand of your daughter. He said, okay, I don't have anything to lose. I will go and ask. He goes to the home of Ziyad. Ziyad was a wealthy man and tribal leader. He goes inside his courtyard. You see, mashallah, full of people are sitting. He says Salam first and says, Ziyad, Ana Rasulullahi ilayk. I've been dispatched from the Prophet, and I have a message for you. Should I say it here in the front of people, or you want me to tell you in a private? He said, no, it's my honor that everyone can hear what is your message. He thought that, something simple. Juwayber told him that I came to propose to your daughter. And the Prophet told me that I get married with your daughter. The man was shocked. Would the Prophet send this man, this dark skin, have nothing, a poor guy to come and marry my daughter? We told him, Juwayber, the name of the daughter was Ad-Dalfa or Ad-Dalfa. He said that I'm asking the hand of your daughter Ad-Dalfa. He told him, Juwayber, we in our traditions that I give my daughters to someone who likes me, who's from people of Medina, a wealthy tribal leader. He has a son, then I give him my daughter. We're not accustomed to give our daughter to everyone. Go tell the Prophet that I have reserved her for someone else. At that time, people in the masjid, in the place, started to say, some of them say yes, some of them say no. There was a commotion going on. This lady at Dalfa, the daughter of Ziyad, was inside the home. She overheard. They told her what was the occasion. Look, she was not only beautiful outside, she was beautiful inside. Her heart and her mind were beautiful. She calls upon her father. The father goes in and she talks to the father. She tells him, Dad, I have heard that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi has sent you a messenger. Is that right? He says, yes. He has sent me a messenger that he proposed to you. She told him, what did you do? He said that I told him that, he's not suitable. And I know I need to go and explain this to the Prophet. She told him, Ya Aban, this is the messenger of Allah. If you are rejecting him, you are rejecting the order of the Prophet. Do you know what you are doing? Do you know what kind of wrath you are bringing to yourself? You better hurry and call Juwayber and ask him back. He goes back, asks Juwayber and tells him, Juwayber, come back. Please have a seat, sit down. And let me go by myself and check with the Prophet. He goes and asks the Prophet, peace be upon him, and tells him, Ya Rasulullah, arsalta ilayya Juwayber. Juwayber, you've dispatched it to me, and you asked him to get married with my daughter. He said, yes, I was the one who asked him. Ya Ziyad, in Islam, al-mu'min kuf al-mu'min. As long as he's a believer, and your daughter is a believer, they're all on equal footing. There is no difference between them. No one is higher than the other one. Al-mu'min kuf al-mu'min, wal-muslim kuf al-muslim. Then he tells him, فَزَوِّجْهُ يَا زِيَادٍ. Juwayber is mu'min. وَلَا تَرْغَبْ عَنْهُ. Don't say no. Why? Because Juwayber was a believer. He grudgingly accepts that, whether inside his heart or not. Eventually he respects the decision of the Prophet. He comes back and tells the same thing to his daughter. His daughter tells him, if this is the order of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, we should accept it. Don't ever think about it. They tell Juwayber, okay, we will give you, our daughter. Do you have a place? Do you have a home? He tells them, home? Are you kidding me? I don't have a shirt to cover my body. You're asking about a home? What kind of home I have? He says, no worries, I can find you a home. Do you have something to bring, a gown to bring to your bride? He tells him, I don't have anything. I have an empty stomach. Nothing I have available. He said, no worries. I will get her the gown. I will get you a nice suit, couple of those suits. He takes him to the shop, gets him good suits and a turban and accommodations in their home with beautiful furniture and perfume, and then goes to Juwayber and tells him, okay, tfaddal. Everything is ready. Your home, your bride. Imagine this guy who used to live on the street overnight, in one night, everything changes. Now he has home, he has wife, he has furniture, he has food, he has money. He goes inside the home, this mansion, and see the mansion, and see the beauty of his bride, and everything. He straight goes to the corner of the home and starts praying. Overnight until the dawn. At dawn, he goes to the masjid. He performs the prayer and come back home. Again performs the prayer until the second night. The family of the bride gets worried. After that day, they come to the bride and tell her, what did you do? Did he approach you? No. She says, no. He's, performing the prayers. He didn't stop. The next day is the same thing. The third day, her father, Ziyad, hears about this. He gets agitated and he goes to the Prophet to complain. Tells him, Ya Rasulullah, you asked us to give our daughter to this guy, and we even gave him home, we gave him shelter, we did give him everything, except this guy seems to be abnormal. He doesn't have any appetite toward our daughter. The Prophet, peace be upon him, called upon Juwayber. Tells him, Juwayber, what's wrong with you? Have you lost your orientation? What's going on? I've heard that 3 days you haven't done anything. And you told me you seem to be, a young man, a masculine man. He said, Ya Rasulullah, of course, I am a masculine man. But when I entered this home, I thought of myself, where I were and where did I end up? I was someone lonely. No one recognized me. I was poor. I was at the end of the scale. No one would ever look at me. All of a sudden, I changed from that place and I got this beautiful mansion, this beautiful bride. All of this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought me, I vowed upon myself that at least 3 days I do fasting and perform prayers as a nadr, as a vow, and to place thank for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what he has offered me. And I will go tonight and I will approach her tonight, and that's what has happened. After a while, Juwayber was one of the soldiers in the battles, in one of the battles of the Prophet, and he becomes martyr. He becomes martyr and get killed in one of the battles. But my point, if Juwayber would not have attended the masjid, if he had not stayed in that sofa and has not performed the prayers, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam have not seen him and have not seen his sincerity, would all of this has happened? It is the masjid, brothers and sisters, who have brought him all these, fortunate things. So this is the second thing, brothers and sisters. How are we going time-wise? Okay, inshallah, in a few more minutes we will finish. And the third effect, brothers and sisters, the third factor of a masjid is the cultural and educational importance of the masjid. I will elaborate on this after your salawat. You see, masjid is not only house of worship, it is house of education. House where you get and acquire knowledge. According to historians, now when you go back home, check it on the internet, do some Google search. The first established academic university, it is called Jami'atul Azhar. Jami'atul Azhar is the University of Azhar. It was established in the 9th century, in 385 of Hijrah. That was the oldest, academic institution. The oldest academic institution in the West, in the entire West, is Oxford. That was established in the 11th century, meaning 2 centuries difference between Jami'atul Azhar and, Oxford universities. Jami'atul Azhar was established in the masjid, and the masjid is called Jami'ul Azhar. After the name, Azhar is the male name for Az-Zahra, and Az-Zahra is the name of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alamin, Fatimah al-Zahra. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That institution became out of a masjid. In the masjid, afterward it changed to become an academic institution that up to now, it graduates good scholars from this school that is called Jami'atul Azhar. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Medina, he established the masjid not only as a house of worship. In the masjid you will see the cabinet for the government will form. In the masjid you will see people, take lessons and learn. This famous incident that one day the Prophet, peace be upon him, enters the masjid and see 2 groups of people. One of them are busy praying. The other group are busy studying and exchanging knowledge, talking about halal and haram. The Prophet goes to the second group, sits with them and says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. That I came to close the gap and to complement the morality. And morality is in the education. Al-Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam used to tell his students that station in the masjid and perform, by the same time that you perform your prayers, at the end of each prayer, give your lectures, give your lessons. Among them was Hamran ibn A'yun wa Abban ibn Tarlib. Those 2 scholars, the students of the Imam, they were stationed in the masjid and giving, sermons and lectures and classes in the masjid. In one trip that the Imam alayhi salam and Imam al-Sadiq went to Kufa, in one trip, he stayed there for a few days and he lectured in Masjid al-Kufa. Afterward, the Imam left, went back to Medina. One scholar, he says that I entered Masjid al-Kufa, I heard 900 scholars. دخلت مسجد الكوفة فرأيت 900 محدث كل يقول حدثني جعفر بن محمد. 900 scholars were narrating the tradition of Imam Jafar al-Sadiq. Scientific formulas were made in the masjid. One of those students of Imam al-Sadiq, his name is Jabir ibn Hayyan al-Kufi. This guy is the father of chemistry. The father of chemistry. Where did he get his learning from? In the masjid at the hand of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. You see, brothers and sisters, I need to come down with my topic and get to the conclusion. Brothers, the masjid is our ambassador, the ambassador of our faith. As Sister Abbas has rightly talked about it. Think of those non-Muslims all as potential Muslim. If someone wonders, a non-Muslim would like to get some information about Islam, where does he get it from? Wouldn't he come to the masjid and ask people and find out and find the spirit of Islam? Then he becomes, interested in Islam. Islam becomes appealing to him. Through what? Isn't it through masjid? Therefore, masjid plays an important role, brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ. Someone who establishes a masjid is a true believer in Allah and in the hereafter. Sometimes you make i'mal, you built it by your money, sometimes by breaking bricks, brick over brick, and construct a masjid, and sometimes by attendance. You need to attend masajid. Last night, all of those chairs were busy, mashallah. They were all occupied. Where did those beautiful youth went? This masjid is a place that you need to come regularly. One of those three things that in the hereafter come and complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give their grievance is a masjid. An empty masjid that comes on the day of judgment and say, Ya Allah, I was there, but I was empty. People wouldn't come and wouldn't, attend the masjid. One of them is the masjid. Therefore, we need to make sure, brothers and sisters, the education maybe not for myself, maybe not for yourself, for your children. How do you want your children to get acquainted with your rituals? How do you want your children to get acquainted with your religion? In which way? At school? In the street? On TV? Believe me, brothers and sisters, the environment is all against you. All are enemies. The street is your enemy. The school is your enemy. The TV is your enemy. The internet is your enemy. The shopping mall is your enemy. How do you want to raise your children? Don't you want to bring them here? So they learn. They see how you pray. They see, the ahkam. They learn the ahkam. They learn Quran. Otherwise, how do you want to get them connected with your religion? This is an important responsibility, brothers and sisters, on our shoulder. You have acquired this beautiful faith, if not like Sister Abbas that she became Muslim. Most of us, almost all of us, we have acquired it from whom? From our parents, who have acquired it from their parents, and goes like this. Now the buck stops at you. You need to let this message goes to your children. This is your responsibility. As she has said, that tomorrow, in 2 months, in 2 or 3 months, this place will be closing. Where are you going to be meeting? This is your responsibility. You cannot say that I am only one person. One person can do a lot. One person can change an entire community, an entire, society. A single person, you can come, open the door, open the lights, clean the room. Yesterday, after everybody left last night, she and her children and her husband were here, sitting and vacuuming. She has a beautiful 13 years old boy. He was vacuuming the entire floor here, by himself. What does that tell you? If someone like Abbas can do it, definitely I can do it. Definitely you can do it. These are responsibilities, brothers and sisters, on your shoulder. We just said a couple nights ago, if you remember, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who was the leader, who was the Khalifa and the Imam, when he goes to Masjid al-Kufa, he will open the torches. He will light the torches, light the candles. Then he goes on the Ma'dana. Then he calls for the Adhan. Then he comes down. Then he wakes up all those people who are sleeping. He doesn't say that I'm a statesman, I'm a Khalifa, I'm a ruler. It's not my job. He used to do this. He would clean the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Much less about us. We should learn from Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib, whom last night was his anniversary. The masjid would witness his supplications, his monologues, his murmur with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mihrab would witness this. Tonight, the voice of Ali ibn Abi Talib came to a halt, came to an end. No more they would hear the voice of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The monologue of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The stars, the moons, the walls, the masjid, the trees, the palms, all were on appointment every night to hear the monologues of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But tonight, there is no more voice of Ali. Ali is gone. Ali is left. It is narrated that after the sons of Ali buried him, they returned. As they returned, they stopped by a ruin. They overheard a wailing guy, an old guy is wailing and crying. They approached him, they found that this guy is laying on the ground, putting a brick under his head and wailing and crying. They told him, what's wrong with you? He said that I am a lonely man. I came from a different city, from a long distance. I came here and I lost all my money, all my belongings. There used to be a man. He would come every night and would feed me, give me food. He would entertain me. He would spend time with me. He would talk to me. As I tell him, who are you? He wouldn't tell me who he was. He told me, I am Abdullah. I am just a servant of God. But I have witnessed one thing. When he praises Allah and he glorifies God, I would see that the walls, the moon, the star, the leaves of the trees, all are glorifying God with him. But it has been 3 days, 3 nights that I have not seen this man. Imam Hassan looks at this guy and tells him, Aqam Allah ajrak. Do you know who's this guy? This guy was Ali ibn Abi Talib. He said, yes, where is he? He said, this man has died. This man has died. And now he's no longer alive. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات. إنك مجيب الدعوات. إنك قاضي الحاجات. إنك على كل شيء قدير. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومن مات على الإيمان نهدي ثواب سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.